Kris here with another quick tip for you all. In this video, we are going to paint the Alpha Legion from the Horus Heresy Betrayal at Calth box set. And so as you can see here, we have our little Mark IV Space Marine. He's already been primed in Vallejo Surface Primer Black using the airbrush. And so he's all ready to go, and we are going to paint this guy in roughly the kind of transition phase for the Alpha Legion, where they have the introduction of a bit of a green. The earlier versions of the Alpha Legion, they have just like a pure blue to them. And so here I'm taking Lead Belcher with Citadel Air, and I'm spraying it around less than 30 psi on the airbrush using a Badger Patriot 105, and pretty much covering most of the surface area of the model. And then here I'm coming in with some RuneFang Steel, same psi, same brush, just flushed it out, and basically came at it from the very top, giving it a bit of a zenithal type feeling on the very top of the metal areas of the model, bringing it up nice and bright, mostly concentrated on the shoulder pads, top of the head, backpack. Also try to catch some of the toes and the back of the heels. Calth Blue and Mortarian Green in a 3-to-1 mixture, 3 blue to 1 green into the airbrush. And this is going to be our base for the model itself. It's going to give us a nice green-blue value. It looks more green than it does blue, even though we only put 1 drop of green into this, which is really quite funny because I guess the green is quite powerful. And so just do a bit of caution there when you are making your mixtures, that try and keep it fairly even. Once it's dry, we're going to come in with a RuneFang Steel again. And again, we're going to spray kind of a zenithal style type highlight, spraying it straight down to the top of the model, but also angle it just a little bit so I can catch the back and the back of the heels, the forearms, as well as the toes and the knee pads. Catch just a little bit of those areas. I'm not too concerned with, getting enough silver on the legs. This one's really just looking more for on the shoulder pads, on the head, and also on the face there. I also come straight in at the forehead as well a bit, just a little bit. Next, we're going to take some Calth Blue, and we're going to loosen the airbrush. Again, we're working still within 30 psi of the brush, and we're still using a Badger Patriot 105 for all of this. And basically, we're just going to go over the entirety of the model very lightly. We're not going to build the color up too heavily because we don't want the color just to be, really kind of a strong blue, because the more you spray this Calth Blue onto the model, it will really kind of deepen up. Next, we're going to take some RuneFang Steel, and this is from the model airline, or Citadel airline, and we'll take a little bit thinner as well, and then we're just going to provide a little edge highlight onto a lot of these little areas here. As you can see, we're simply going about it in the typical fashion which I typically highlight Space Marines. This time I normally start at the feet and work my way up, but this time I start at the top of the head and work my way down, catching that little mohawk piece on the top of the head, catching around the eye sockets, the little ear doodads on the helmet, as well as the front grill, just a little line really essentially down that. Imagine that this is pretty much your final highlight if you were going about, highlighting this guy in a typical kind of fashion. On the shoulder pads here, I just throw a little line here, just right closest to the trim of the shoulder pad. You really don't have to do that because, again, we provide so much silver onto the shoulder pad, and again, it has that whole zenithal type feeling to it. It really is kind of tricky to edge highlight something kind of big and round like that. So you don't have to provide that one little streak in there. And again, I have the paint in a fairly thin consistency, so it is fairly translucent. You can barely see it on the shoulder pads. Again, it's just the corner of the elbow pads, the wrist guard, that plate that's on top of the hand, the very tips of the toes, as well as that little guard that runs over the top of the foot, and the back of the shin guards, as well as the top of the knee pads as well. It's not a full-on edge highlight. This is more like if we were doing the final edging of the model. So again, we're not using a whole lot of paint as we work our way around. Again, you can see here we're simply catching the insides of the thigh as well as the groin plate. The backpack, I just simply do the little edge highlight just on those little curved edges on the backpack, the nozzles themselves. Again, just to get a little bit of final shine onto those points. And then the back of the shin guards here, just really quickly. It's just on the back and the back of the foot, and as well as the thigh guards. We also do just above the knee and below the knee, and then that little part that covers over his bottom, we'll catch the edges of that as well. Again, this is really typical of the way I edge highlight the models. If you've been following this series, you'll see that it is pretty much just how I go about edge highlighting these models as we work our way around. If you are blending, you can blend it however you like, and if you are glazing it, well, obviously you can glaze it however you like. Again, this is just really kind of quick run through. And of course, with all these colors, these can be applied by the brush as well. You don't need an airbrush to do any of this. Here I'm coming back to the Calth Blue, and I'm adding a little bit of Lamaine Medium to it, just to thin it down just a little bit, as I don't want it to go on too heavy. And basically we're just going to run it right over where we ran the silver, because we don't want the pure silver kind of showing through. We just want just to tint it so that it's a bright blue silver. So as you can see here, we're just catching just some of those little points where we already laid the silver out. And you can see again, it's a very thin little layering right on top. We're not laying too much down. We don't want to blend it in with the rest of the blue. We want it to stand out and be an edge highlight. So again, just be mindful of that as you're working away. So if it's okay if it still looks a little bit silver, that's fine, because we do have the Calth Blue reduced down a bit. And so again, it'll give us the colors that we want after it has settled and dried. Again, really the hard part is not applying too many layers and changing the value of it too dark. But once that is done, that is pretty much the model is set and is ready to go. As you can see there, it's not terribly difficult. And again, this can be applied by brush or airbrush. It's just as easy with either. We've got even more painting tutorials in the silver MiniWarGaming vault. You can watch another one today about how I freehand the chapter icon onto the shoulder pad. Just click the link in the video description below to watch it right now. If you don't have a MiniWarGaming vault membership, you can click the link and sign up for a free 7-day trial. Make sure that you get the silver membership as you gain access to the painting tutorials, and you'll get instant access to over 1,000 painting tutorials already in the vault. And so once again, thank you for watching, and happy wargaming.